Today, what really happened? A young mother is stabbed by her husband 44 times, dragged to their swimming pool, and drowned. Scott Falater admits killing his wife, but says he is not responsible for his actions. His shocking defense? He was sleepwalking. After a trailer home is set on fire, owners Kathy and Danny Freeman are murdered. Their daughter, Ashley, disappears along with her best friend, Laura. Were they abducted and the victims of foul play, or are they guilty of a heinous crime? Join us as we uncover the surprising twists in these incredible stories and find out what really happened. Thank you for joining us. I'm Rolanda Watts. Today we unravel two compelling cases. Each one has its own shocking revelations. Each one has several intriguing theories. Up first, we're going to examine the case of Scott Falater. He's been convicted of murdering his wife, Yarmila. Now, Scott admits he did kill his wife, but he says he has no memory of committing this violent act. On January 16, 1997, the Phoenix, Arizona Police Department received a 911 call from a man who said he had just witnessed a murder.
And the husband just threw, I believe, the wife to the pool and looks like he's holding her underwater. She's been screaming for about 20-30 minutes.
The police immediately dispatched units to the home of Scott and Yarmila Falater, where they found Yarmila dead in the backyard. The attacker had stabbed Yarmila 44 times with a hunting knife, then dragged her body to the swimming pool, where she was choked to death underwater. The witness identified the attacker as Yarmila's husband, Scott Falater. Scott was immediately arrested for murder. Months later at his trial, Scott stunned the prosecution and the jury with an almost unbelievable explanation for his actions. He claimed he was sleepwalking when he slaughtered his wife. Joining us now is Lois Wilczek. She is Scott Falater's mother, and she believes her son loved his wife dearly. She says there's no way he intentionally committed this crime. That night of the murder, you got a phone call. You find out that your daughter-in-law has been brutally murdered. You find out that your son is the prime suspect.
This was such a shock. There was no way I could believe that Scott would be capable of doing something like this. And obviously he had done it because they told me someone saw him do it.
Mm-hmm. I think there's so many people who are just simply astonished that a sleepwalking defense could even be used.
We were too. We were astonished that something like this could happen because it is so out of character for Scott. Mm-hmm. The only way we could make any sense of this whole thing was by something like this. And believe me, we would have picked anything else because this is not an easy thing to get across.
I had a chance to speak with your son. I spoke with Scott Falater. He is in prison in Arizona where he is serving a life sentence. This is what he said to me when I asked him, in his own words, what happened that dreadful night.
It was a rough day at work, but came home and we had dinner as a family. During dinner, my wife had asked that I look at our pool filter, which apparently wasn't working correctly. Went outside and tried to work on the pool filter, but by this time it was just too dark. My wife was asleep on the couch when I came in. I just woke her up, told her I would finish working on the pool filter the next day, kissed her goodnight, went up to bed, and just basically collapsed. I'm guessing I would have been asleep in minutes because I was totally worn out. I came to, coming down the stairs. I looked out the rear patio doors. I saw a policeman standing with his gun drawn. Someone yelled, there's the guy, and he turned, pointed his gun at me, and charged me right through the patio doors and told me to get down.
I can see you full of emotion here. So many of us turned our mothers in times of great need. When he turned to you, what did he say, and what did you say to him?
Well, when we first saw him, I just was so shocked. He looked awful. He was very unkempt, and he was totally bewildered. Here's this man, 40-some years old, who said, I want my mommy. And I told him, Scott, I'll fix this.
Why sleepwalking? Was there something, did Scott have a history of this sleepwalking?
Well, yes, he sleptwalked as a child, but I never thought it was going to be a violent episode, because one time when he was sleepwalking, we did go to touch him, and he flinched back, and I knew then when he was doing this, and we wanted him to go back to bed, not to touch him. And then another time, he was trying to get out the door, and his sister saw him. So she got between him and the door to turn the deadbolt so he couldn't get out. And he just picked her up and threw her right out of the way.
During my interview, I asked Scott about this sleepwalking theory. This is what Scott had to say.
Do you believe you were sleepwalking?
Yes, I do. At this point, I see no other reasonable alternative.
So what do you think actually happened the night of the murder?
The best guess is that I was up attempting to fix that pool filter again, and that maybe Yarm had woke up, saw me out working on the pool filter, and she probably came up and maybe even touched me on the shoulder or even rattled me hard to say, "What are you doing?" And I would have reacted violently to that.
Tell me a bit more about the relationship between Scott and Yarmila, his wife. Were they having any kind, all the reports say there were no problems. No couple goes through life without problems. So can you be honest with us and tell us, if you will?
There's never been cross words spoken between them. They don't argue. They discuss differences because they have them. Mm-hmm. But I knew of nothing that was a problem.
If you had such a perfect family, I don't think a person...
I didn't say a perfect family.
Well,
he was a perfect boy.
He's a perfect boy and you knew your son. So I'm saying he obviously repressed his anger and got to explore his anger by killing his wife. So obviously he had some serious issues.
No, he didn't repress any anger. If he didn't like something, he thought about it.
No, I can relate to this because I sleepwalk. And I sleepwalk. My roommate gets me up. I go in the backyard, and this is embarrassing, but I peeing in the bush and stuff, and I'm like, I don't remember it.
You go outside?
Yeah, I go outside, and I'll go out the front door, I'll walk out the front door, he'll come back and get me, I'm in my underwear, I'll go to the refrigerator, open it up, eat something, and go, and
but isn't that scary?
I don't remember it or nothing. I have no idea that I'm doing it. And I was tested at UCLA of sleepwalk.
So do you believe Scott's story?
I believe it. I believe it. I really do.
You believe that he could stab his wife 44 times
and not know it,
drown her in the pool, and a whole lot of other things we're going to tell you about later that he did. You won't believe. You disagree? You disagree. I see it in your face that you're jumping to get up here.
I disagree 100%. What I can't wrap my own brain around is the actual physicality of what had to have occurred for this to have played out. To have been stabbed 44 times, dragging down the stairs, into the pool, etc., and have no consciousness or no memory.
Oh, but wait a minute. There's so much more to this story. There are so many twists and turns to this story alone that, in fact, at the end of the show, I'd like to come back to you, and you, who sleepwalks yourself, and see if you might change your opinion after you hear all of this, okay? When we come back, you're going to find out how Scott covered up his grisly crime after he stabbed his wife 44 times. And you're not going to believe what he did with those bloody clothes that night and how he disposed of the hunting knife. Can this really happen in your sleep? I think that's what we're all asking. Next, we're going to talk with one sleep expert who says, absolutely it can.
He loved her to death, didn't he? When he stuck her head down in that water?
Tell you something, Juan. You had your turn. Now it's my turn.
The defense, the sleepwalking defense, whose idea was that? Was that your idea?
Yeah, we're here for the BTS meal. A Coke and fries. 10-piece chicken McNuggets. And one more thing. Two more things. Sweet chili sauce. And cage. Get the BTS meal at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Where there's commitment, there's confidence. Where there's teamwork, there's trust. Wherever there's hope, we'll be there to take care. Walk in or schedule your COVID-19 vaccine with CVS Pharmacy at Target.
2 drums, 2 breasts, 2 thighs, 2 wings, with 1 heaping helping of mac and cheese, 1 large fry, and 4 flaky biscuits. That's 1 delicious mouthful. A great way to feed the whole family. Order ahead on the KFC app. It's finger-licking good.
That delicious scramble was microwaved? Get out of here.
Everybody's a skeptic.
Right, brothers. More like, yeah, right, brothers. Get out of here.
It's not crazy. It's a scramble. Just crack an egg.
Gordon Ramsay returns to Vegas.
Hell's Kitchen, Young Guns.
But this time, he's got a whole new generation in his kitchen.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
21.
23. Hashtag Young Guns.
Coming in.
He'll test their skills.
He needs a diaper.
They'll test his patience.
We're running a kitchen, not a kindergarten.
This season is truly one for the ages.
Get out, all of you. Oh, here we go.
Okay, Boomer. Hell's Kitchen Young Guns premieres this Monday on Fox.
This summer, dress to chill in Foamies by Skechers. Foamies are colorful, lightweight footwear for the whole family that are completely waterproof. Head to the beach, pool, or wherever you're keeping cool, then just wash them off. Get comfortable in Foamies by Skechers.
Some people refer to their spouses like, this is like my right arm. And she's like both of my arms and my legs and half my head and all of my heart.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Rolanda Watts. That was Scott Falater you just heard, who was convicted of murdering his wife. He claims he doesn't remember a thing about it. He doesn't remember killing her. He says he was sound asleep at the time. His mother believes that Scott was sleepwalking, and we just spoke with her. But the person who disagrees is Juan Martinez. He prosecuted Scott for the murder of his wife. You say you don't believe this story.
Of course not. He's a manipulator. Throughout the trial, and as he took the stand and he cried in his story to the jury, it became clear that he had a problem. And that problem was that there were no tears, just a lot of bad acting.
So you believe this was an intentional murder?
Without a doubt.
His mother is here. Why don't we go and talk with Lois? Lois is Scott's mother, who says that Scott didn't have any problems with his wife, that he was a nice, decent man who had a sleeping disorder that led to this crime.
Well, what can you say about a mother? You would expect that a mother would say that her son is somebody that's good. It's obviously somebody that she loves. So no, that doesn't surprise me.
You're so used to dealing with criminals that you think everyone is like that. You're not used to dealing with people like Scott.
I'm used to dealing with criminals.
That's right.
True. And he's just one of them, unfortunately
no,
for you.
No, he's not. You don't know him.
Excuse me. Unfortunately for you, he's just one of the many that has killed his wife.
I'll tell you something, Juan. You had your turn. Now it's my turn.
And I'm willing to listen to you.
You manipulated and you twisted and you misbehaved during that trial, right and left. In fact, you were reprimanded by the judge a couple times.
Juan, answer this for me. Tell us what those things were that led you to make that decision that he's a so-called monster.
The problem for Ms. Wolchek and the problem for those that believe that he was sleepwalking is that the evidence just indicates that he is a monster. He stabbed his wife 44 times, and after he stabbed his wife, he then turned around and took off all the clothing that he had so that he got rid of the evidence, stuck it in a Tupperware container. Then he took that Tupperware container, stuck it in a plastic bag, stuck it in the back of a Volvo, but he wasn't through yet. He then went upstairs to clean up, just like somebody who is calculating this murder, and after cleaning up, he came downstairs and washed up some more. He looked outside to see that his wife was still out there, and when he looked outside, he noticed that the dog was just right outside the door. So in a motion to quiet the dog down, he made the motion, walked outside, stood over his wife's body, and as she issued, if you will, close to her last gasp, he decided, she's not dead enough. Went into the garage, got some gloves, put them on because, of course, he didn't want to sully himself. He didn't want to get any more blood on him like he had before because now he'll have to clean up again. Walked on over to the body, grabbed her by the hands and began to carry her or push her towards the pool. Once he got to the pool, he rolled her body into the pool and then just didn't walk away, didn't do anything like that. He held her head down to make sure that she was not going to live through that night.
Juan, you were trying to look for motives. You never developed a motive, did you? And there wasn't a motive.
You're asking me to take a look into his head. I am not a murderer. I can't identify with him.
Well, the people that looked into his head said he was not.
I'm sorry, I don't really care about motive at this point. If I'm not mistaken, this man admitted to killing his wife. My question is, Are we trying to establish whether or not he is culpable for his crime while he was sleepwalking? I mean, the man, he said he was...
he said he killed her, but he didn't remember it because he was sleepwalking.
Okay, so is he culpable or is he not?
He's morally innocent.
And Juan, I've got to tell you this, too. I spoke with him from the prison on the phone, and he did sound like a nice man. He was very giving, very open. Maybe that's part of the manipulation. But I'm going to tell you where he showed the most emotion. And that is when he talked about his wife of 20 years. The fact that this was the only woman he'd ever dated. He met in high school. She was the spunky girl he loved and would never, ever think of leaving, much less killing. Here's what he had to say about his love for his wife, Yarmila.
I loved my wife. She was my best friend, my best companion. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. We had a strong, solid 20-year marriage. We had had some rough times in the marriage. Those were long in the past. And at the time that this happened, we were as happy as we had ever been.
The prosecutors, or at least the investigators, said during your interrogation that there were no tears. What do you say to that?
I was still numb. I was still not fully accepting the fact that she was gone, and certainly not that I was responsible for it. And I was more in a mode of worrying about the children.
It's interesting because I'm watching the audience as you're listening, and some of you are going, well, yeah, I could see that he's numb, and I see you going back and forth. One of the things that we haven't made clear, Juan, is what was the motive, according to the prosecution?
We don't know. As I told you before, that's one of the things that we don't have to prove. We don't know what killers think. Because if we did know what killers think, then obviously we would do something so that they wouldn't go about doing such things as this.
Is that good enough for you, Lois Wilczek?
No, of course not. You always have to establish a motive. You know that.
If I needed to establish a motive, I would have lost the case and he would not have been convicted. So that's not necessary.
Okay.
Okay, I heard you say that you told your son, I'll fix this. What I want to know, the defense, the sleepwalking defense, whose idea was that? Was that your idea, his idea, or his attorney's idea?
Believe me, that would have been no idea any of us rational people would have had.
Whose theory was it, Lois?
Well, here's how it happened. We were trying to figure out a way, a reason why this had happened, because obviously it did.
Oh, Lois, I got to jump in here.
Okay.
I got to jump in here, Lois.
Let's myself.
And you know, and with all due respect, be totally honest with us. Because I think what people are saying is, as a mother,
being honest.
we understand you would do anything for your child.
Well,
but
remember this is very important to me. I want to get my point across. This is my chance.
Well, you got some folks out here who said, oh, she wants to fix this. Oh, we were looking for a way.
I told him I would fix the problem because I knew he was not guilty of doing this. However, he said, they tell me I did, and that guy has no reason to lie. He's my friend.
We have so many questions about sleeping disorders. Can this really happen? Joining us now by satellite from Chicago is Dr. Rosalind Cartwright. She is a sleep expert from Chicago's Rush Presbyterian St. Luke's Medical Center. She actually was the one who defended Scott at his trial. Thank you so much, Dr. Cartwright, for being with us. What I'd like you to do is take us back to that courtroom that day. What did you tell that jury?
I laid out for them the characteristics that we have now codified as a sleep disorder named sleepwalking with violence. And I told the jury that the characteristics of this are these are people with a genetic flaw, if you like, in being able to go from deep sleep, which is restful, restorative sleep, up to the active sleep in which dreams occur. They can't make that transition always without an abnormal arousal. And that abnormal arousal can be violence.
Dr. Cartwright, you know that all sleep experts are not agreeing with you on this, of course. We have someone who does not. Come on, this is Dr. Jonathan Rossman. He is a forensic psychiatrist, and you say what?
I don't buy it in this case. I think the complexity of his actions and the actions after the stabbings are particularly convincing to me and reek of guilt.
You have a list here that we were talking about earlier,
Right.
some 65 things that blow this case out of the water, if you say, in terms of proving that he was not sleepwalking. Some of those complexities are?
Well, I'll focus on the three main points for me. The first is his efforts to conceal things after the stabbings. Efforts to conceal something is not what someone who's sleeping does. You have to be awake to get into that kind of complexity.
And when we're talking about concealing things, we're talking about, you mean putting the bloody clothes and the knife into the Tupperware case?
The Tupperware into a garbage bag, the garbage bag into a wheel well. Then he goes back and forth with gloves, washing his hands, putting the gloves back into the Tupperware in the garbage bag in the wheel well. So there's all kinds of efforts here to conceal his role in this.
Why would he try to conceal something in an open hatchback? All you have to do is look in the window and there it is. He tried to conceal his wife's body in a pool with the lights on.
Well, he wasn't aware that he was being watched by the neighbor, and he had the whole night to take care of the body afterwards.
He wasn't aware of anything.
One other point that we need to make with regard to Dr. Cartwright is that she reached her decision that this individual was sleepwalking without even talking to him, without knowing the facts of the case. In fact, when I asked her,
that's not true.
Excuse me, I gave you your time. With regard to the questions about the facts, I asked her, well, why don't we talk about the knife? Because she didn't know anything about it.
Give her time to explain it.
Excuse me. I asked her about the knife. I said, hey, what about the knife? Let's talk about the condition of the knife. And she indicated, I don't know anything about the knife. I don't want to talk about the facts. Didn't want to talk about the facts, didn't want to talk about what happened, reached her conclusion without ever having talked to the defendant. And quite frankly, one of the other things that came out was that she and somebody else attempted to manipulate the medical records to show that he actually attained what they've been talking about, the deep sleep. Initially, when they did the test, it came out that when they actually had an independent person review them, that no, he had no deep sleep, or he had very minimal deep sleep. When she came onto the scene, she decided, oh no, he had deep sleep. And I asked her, well, where's the standard that you have that indicates that there is this deep sleep? And she went, and this was something prophetic, pointed to her temple and said, it came from my head. Basically, she made it up. And now she comes on and she wants to continue that.
And Dr. Cartwright is here to defend herself. And Dr. Cartwright, you jump in if you have to. One of the arguments is that you lawyers are having a good time, too. You're so busy trying to get somebody behind bars that you're not even considering that there could be a dysfunction in the brain that leads to this.
The prosecutor was thinking about Yarmela Falater as she lay there with 44 stab wounds, and she was stabbed to the point where she could feel what was going on, she could see what was going on, but she could not speak. So she could watch him as he did this to her. So we've been talking about Scott, and we've been talking about how this poor guy, you know, loves his wife. He loved her to death, didn't he? When he stuck her head down in that water.
Dr. Rosman, you wanted to say something too.
Yeah, in a case like this, it's not enough to show that someone has a sleepwalking condition. It's also, you have to apply it to the particular facts of the case. He gestured to the barking dog to quiet it. Now, that means that he had some recognition of that this was a dog that was barking. How come there was no response to his wife's screams, which alerted the neighbor, who then called the police?
The neighbor did say that there were 30 minutes of screaming. When we come back, I want to discuss the key piece of evidence that led the jury to convict Scott Falater of first-degree murder. He is right now facing a life in prison.
I left the jail that day convinced that Scott did not know what he had done.
12 people that were not his friend who sat back and listened to the evidence said, you know, Darrell Williams, you're wrong.
What do you say now? Have any of you changed your minds?
There are times I wonder, why can't I wear white after Labor Day?
Something on your mind? Chew on it. Twizzlers.
Hey, sandwich fan, new Denny's melts belong in your hand. Patty melt's a classic, the Big Dipper's fantastic, and the Nashville hot chicken, bombastic? 4 melts in all, grilled to please. Now with free delivery. See you at Denny's.com.
People everywhere are discovering how 5G can change their lives, but Apartments.com has changed millions of renters' lives by helping them get into new homes. So, we already knew all about the power of 5G. We've had it in every town and city for years. And also 6G, and 4C, and 2R, and 7L. What else would you expect from the site with the most listings anywhere? Apartments.com, the most popular place to find a place. Hello?
The new total support pouch from Hanes can help you achieve balance. Vista mesh panels for perfect separation and support. Secure. Separated. Supported. Find your balance. Vista new total support pouch from Hanes.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here. The Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature Applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new bourbon bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Island?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone. Get them on the table.
I don't have an insurance plan for my phone. It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
Whether you look at this scientifically or you look at this judicially, the bottom line is it has been a tremendous tragedy for a lot of people. When you're in a situation like this, you call a friend. And Darrell Williams was the friend that Scott called from the jail the night of the murder. You've heard all of this, and they're talking about your dear friend, who is in an awful lot of trouble right now. What do you say?
I was bewildered at the time, and I am bewildered now. I am a lawyer. I'm a trial lawyer. I do civil litigation. I knew I was going to the jail because someone had been arrested for murdering Yarm, and I knew Yarm, and I knew the kids. I knew the family. I know 100 people who know the Fillaters. But I will tell you, from all of my 26 years of experience as a trial lawyer and looking at witnesses, I left the jail that day convinced that Scott did not know what he had done.
Yeah, but he's your friend, Darrell.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to defend their friend,
That's
especially
right.
when they're in deep trouble like
That's
that.
right.
So why were you bewildered?
Because it was absolutely clear to me that Scott was unaware of what would happen.
But wasn't that part of a defense he might have to cover up this?
Scott had been up all night. He is exhausted. He's been up through the regime. I'm asking him what happened. I say, Scott, what do you remember? And he says, well, I guess I killed her. I said, what do you mean you guess you killed her? Talk to me, I'm your lawyer. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking, how do I get the right lawyer to help? And I walk away from
that. We
that.
have to what he's trying to tell you is 12 people that were not his friend who sat back and listened to the evidence said, you know, Darrell Williams, you're wrong. I should point out that immediately upon the state being notified that this was going to be the defense, we began to monitor the defendant while he was in the Maricopa County Jail. What that means is that we had somebody watching him 24 hours a day to see whether or not he had another episode. He's claiming he's sleepwalking. He claims that he's stressed. Who could be more stressed than somebody that charged first-degree murder who has just killed the woman of his life? Never a single episode of that.
How far could he go? It was only like 9 by 12.
He could get up. He could attack the wall.
And
if
he
was
did.
Really, no, he didn't. And
Juan,
he's in prison.
it took the
That's
jury.
why we don't wonder about
How
it.
long did it take that jury to figure out that Scott was a murderer?
7 hours. And in fact, it was even shorter than that. They indicated that on the first vote, it was 9-3 for conviction. And then the three of them were the ones that held it out for a little bit longer. It wasn't a difficult
It's hard
case for
to
the jury.
believe that somebody could do something like that and not remember a thing and not be responsible. It's hard for the average individual. It's hard for me. Scott didn't even believe it for a long time.
Well, you know something, Lois, I will say that it is hard to believe,
Yes,
but what we appreciate is being able to peel back the layers of this story and try to get some insight that might be able to help us so that we don't see another Scott Filater case. I want to talk with my sleepwalker here from the beginning of the show, and this young lady who's a mother who you said you had it. Come on, I asked you guys in the beginning, you believe this could have happened because you yourself are a sleepwalker. You said no way this could have happened. You've listened to all the evidence, you've heard the experts, you've even heard the accused himself, the convicted himself. What do you say now? Have any of you changed your minds?
I have.
You did?
I have changed my mind because, I mean, I know about sleepwalking and all this stuff, but to me it sounds like there's something else wrong. And maybe it was like a drinking problem or something. He blanked out and didn't realize what he was doing.
Scott never took a drink in his life that I know of. He doesn't do drugs. In fact, he was tested right after the crime for alcohol, and there was absolutely none.
You've had an hour now to sift through all of this evidence and hear this story. Have you changed your opinion? Because in the beginning of the show, you said you don't buy this.
No, I don't, but it's an incredible story to say the least. But I think what we have to be very careful of is not to find these defenses and all of these experts to have an excuse for rather than just explain what occurs. And I think that as a nation in America, we are far too quick to find a place to blame and not take personal responsibility, and I don't buy that, and I'm not comfortable with it.
Okay, thank you both. I appreciate it. You know, while Scott Falater and his family are continuing their efforts, I understand they're even working on an appeal at this point to turn this case around. There are sleep disorder experts all around this country who are continuing their efforts to understand what I think we have discovered today is quite a curious phenomenon. Don't go away. We'll be right back. A small town is gripped by fear when a birthday celebration turns to terror. Arson, murder, and a possible abduction are all part of the tragedy. What really happened? Stay with us.
Critics and audiences love the #1 movie in America.
100%.
Wrath of Man is the year's most badass movie. The best experienced in a movie theater.
I'm starting to think he's a psychopath.
Wrath of Man, rated R.
Hold fast to dreams. For if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams. For when dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow.
Some people are built for this moment, some people are not.
Yeah, we're here for the BTS meal.
A Coke and fries. 10-piece chicken McNuggets. And one more thing. Two more things. Sweet chili sauce. And Cajun.
Get the BTS meal at McDonald's.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Cool, tangy, ranchy, Hidden Valley secret sauce. Hamburger.
You're sleep saucing again.
Restaurant-inspired Hidden Valley Ranch secret sauces. You either love it or you really love it.
It's my first time trying this. Let's go ahead and try this. Ooh, that mango right there. That's bold. Bold. Reminds me of someone I know. Ooh, hey. Come on, let me try that again.
Welcome back, everybody. 2 years ago, Danny and Kathy Freeman were murdered in their own home. Their daughter, 16-year-old Ashley Freeman, and her best friend, Laura Bible, have simply vanished. 2 missing people, 2 murders, and a lot of suspicions that reach deep into the heart of a small American town. It was a crime that shocked the small town of Welch, Oklahoma. A quiet couple murdered, their home set ablaze, and their teenage daughter and her best friend missing. On the evening of December 29, 1999, Laura Bible went to spend the night with her best friend, Ashley Freeman. It was Ashley's 16th birthday, and they had planned a small family celebration. Then, at around 4 in the morning, a fire broke out, and less than an hour later, little was left of the trailer home. At first, only one victim was found in the smoldering ashes, Kathy Freeman, Ashley's mother. But where were Ashley's father, Danny Freeman, and the 2 girls? What really happened in the Freeman house that night? Joining us now are Lorraine and Jay Bible, who are perhaps living the worst nightmare that a parent could imagine. Let's go back to what did happen, how you got to this point. You have a wonderful little girl who goes to her best friend's house for a sleepover. The next thing you know, you're getting a call from your boss to come to the office. What did he say to you?
He said there's a sheriff's deputy here that needs to talk with you.
And what did he tell you?
We went to my office and he asked me if I knew Ashley Freeman. I told him yes, that was Laura's best friend, that she'd spent the night. And he said, there's been a fire, the house is a total loss, and we found one body. And my thing to them, there was 4 people in that house.
Right.
They come back, they said there's still one body.
What did you do? You took matters into your own hands.
We went out there, we looked, we got inside where the trailer was, and laying there in plain sight was the body of Danny Freeman.
Wait a minute. 2 distraught parents looking for their daughter go and, after the investigators have so-called investigated, you as concerned parents go back through the crime scene, going through the rubble, and discover a body?
Yeah, but we didn't have to go through any body. We walked up into there, and within 5 minutes of being there, there was his body in plain sight. When we found him, there was footprints on him. On his chest, on his legs. They had been walking on him the day before.
So you find Danny Freeman, the father of Ashley, who was burnt in the rubble.
I mean, yes, ultimately he was burnt, but that wasn't the cause of his death.
What was the cause of his death?
He'd been shot.
How did you know that?
You could tell by looking at the body. He had no face from the upper teeth up to his head. It was absolutely gone.
What kind of theory did this lead to? I mean, here you think everybody has been burned in the home. You get there, they only find 2 bodies, or you found one body, the police found another. You believe one of them had been shot.
There was problems with Danny's family and the sheriff's department a year previous. He'd had a son that was shot by one of the local sheriff's deputies there and was killed. And there was a lot of friction between the Freeman family and the sheriff's department that had developed from that. I think Danny Freeman and his family was working toward a wrongful death lawsuit against the county.
You weren't the only family affected. There were other friends of the family. Like you said, your whole community has gotten involved with this. I want you to meet Katie Dorsey and her mom, Deanna. They were very, very close with the Freemans. And Katie, I understand that you were supposed to be there that night. And the only reason you didn't go is because you were grounded. Mom had grounded you. But to be so young and to have lost such a dear friend, what are you going through?
It's very difficult at school. You don't have anybody there. I mean, you have like your associate friends, but not that best friend that you did have. Not one that you went to lunch with every day, not one that you spent like every waking moment with.
What are you thinking right now about this whole case? What could have happened?
I believe very, very, very strongly that the Craig County Sheriff's Department had everything to do with it. Just because I know of incidents Ashley would tell me about, they would watch their house, they parked down, just like down the road in a barn, and they would follow Danny into town as he went to town and then follow him back home. And park in that same barn and sit there and watch every moment they left the house.
So your friend Ashley did express fear for her family because of the police shooting of her brother and the fact that the family stood up to the police officers, and then you honestly believe that the sheriff's department had something to do with it?
Yes.
Thank you so much. We have someone else who's joining us who's very close to this case, Dwayne Vansell, Danny Freeman's brother. 2 weeks before Danny was murdered, he told Dwayne that if anything happened to him or anything happened to his family, the sheriff's department probably had something to do with it. Dwayne thinks there was a connection to the sheriff's department, and the murders of Danny and Kathy Freeman were part of a big cover-up. We're going to talk to the cops about that, too. What really happened?
Oh, what's with the walking footprints all over his body? How come you guys didn't find that?
Kim, where are the girls? That's what really happened to those girls.
We heard that the girls were sold as slaves to truck drivers. We heard all sorts of things.
You may ask yourself, what is a blue raspberry? Or a pink lemon? Or even a strawberry watermelon? But they taste so good in these Minute Maid slushies from McDonald's. Who cares? It's more than a drink. It's a McDonald's drink.
Cool down this summer with a $2 small Minute Maid slushie, like the new strawberry watermelon or the popular pink lemonade or blue raspberry.
This shot is our shot. The COVID-19 vaccines are ready, and so is Walgreens, with pharmacists who know you. So when you're ready, they'll be ready to give it to you safely for free. This is our shot at bringing our communities back together, providing healing, not just for some, but for all. This is our shot. This is our shot. This is our shot.
Welcome back, everyone. We've been talking today to two grieving parents, Lorraine and Jay Bible. They are not the only ones, though, who lost a family member in this tragedy that we're discussing. This is Dwayne Vansel. Dwayne, you also lost your brother, Danny Freeman, who was shot and killed that same night, the same night that the two girls disappeared. Dwayne, I understand that you're joining this chorus of voices that are pointing their finger to the sheriff's department.
My brother told me on 2 different occasions prior to his death. He made sure he had my attention. He put his finger in my face and said, Dwayne, if anything ever happens to me, you look at the sheriff's department. He also, on that same occasion, told me that he didn't think he would live a year after his son was killed.
My goodness.
So he directed me prior to this ever happening of where to look.
Let's go and have a seat here and join the Bible family, because this is a case that even, I must admit, even the investigators said it's the strangest case that they've ever seen. You think the sheriff's department has something to do with it because of your family's rift with them over Shane?
That's where it started. But if you look at the day that the fire was found, you will find that incompetence or the crime scene was messed up by design. I don't think that anyone is that ignorant that could screw up a crime scene that badly.
We have heard that all throughout this case. We cannot continue without speaking with someone from that Craig County Sheriff's Department. Deputy Jim Herman is joining us now. Please join us here. You've heard come on, stand up for me. These are some heavy allegations against an entire police department. What do you say to these folks?
Well, basically, it wasn't our investigator. It wasn't Sheriff's Department investigators.
Well, why didn't anybody who calls themselves an investigator find that body?
That's a real good question. We turned the case over to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation.
But this is also why our Craig County Sheriff Department turned it over to the OSBI. They thought they were done, so they stood around and did nothing. The OSBI come in. They heard from the county people, told them, this is what we want you to know. That's why you have parents that go out there and they beat the bushes. They get in people's faces, and you're told you're making trouble. I've been told I'm making trouble. But I will make trouble till I find my daughter and I bring Laura and Ashley home.
Question. You have a question?
What's going on with the FBI? I mean, are they investigating? Have you gotten internal affairs involved?
Jay, Lorraine?
They don't talk to you. You're just the family, and I mean just the family. In order to get the OSBI, you have to go be mean to them, so they'll get you out of their face. They don't talk to you.
I want you to hold your thought. Joining us now by satellite from Oklahoma City is Kim Cook. Kim Cook is the Public Information Director for the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigations. It was actually her bureau that investigated the allegations against the Sheriff's Department. And Kim, what did your investigation uncover?
Well, the first week after the girls were missing, there were no rumors around town, really. It was really quiet if you talked to Steve Nutter, our case agent. After that, then the rumors started flying,
Beg your
and
pardon.
they were all over.
I beg your pardon. There
And
were
those
many rumors
Hey, wait a
flying
minute,
around.
wait. What were the rumors? What were the rumors?
The rumors were, number one, is that Danny had done it and abducted the girls. And I told him, no, there's no way. That next morning after Danny's body was found, now it went to, now the girls have done it because Danny was sexually abusing Ashley, which is a complete fabrication.
Are those the rumors that you heard, Kim Cook?
Yes, all of those were true. Yes, we heard all of those rumors that Danny did it, that the girls did it and they took off, that Danny Freeman had a drug problem and that he sold drugs out of the house, and that Mexican nationals were coming in to buy drugs and took the drugs.
This is in Craig County, Oklahoma.
Yes. We heard that the girls were sold as slaves to truck drivers. We heard all sorts of things.
And what did you find? You're saying all that to say what, Kim Cook?
Nothing. We found nothing. We found no way to corroborate or substantiate any of those rumors, including the one about the sheriff's office.
Fact is, first day, there was 3 vehicles sitting in front of their home. None of them were fingerprinted. Fact, they looked in my brother's pickup, searched it. I watched from the crime scene tape. They did not find his .22 caliber pistol that he kept under the seat. As soon as they released the crime scene to me at 6:30 that evening, my buddy and I walked up there because I needed to know, is that pistol here? If I found that pistol, I knew that my brother had either died in the fire or he was taken out of there by force. We found a pistol, fully loaded, had not been shot. Fact, they did not bring out any cadaver dogs. They did not bring out any bloodhounds the first day.
We did bring out cadaver dogs.
Deputy, I don't even know what to say except please respond to this. Those are some mighty strong accusations, and I don't think there's an American in here who isn't afraid they might be in that position. What in the world do you say?
Well, again, you're talking about the aspect of the investigation that was not our agency's. I don't have a responsibility.
But you said yourself that you... Oh, wait a minute. What did you say? You're upset about this. What are you saying?
First of all, when you are investigating a crime scene, you have to thoroughly search the entire area and cordon off the area. Did you do that?
Absolutely. The area was cordoned off, yes.
Then why was...
It wasn't searched.
Why was Mr. Freeman's body... Oh, what's with the walking footprints all over his body? How come you guys didn't find that? That's lax on your part.
He had post-mortem fractures.
Once again, I can't really answer that because... Go ahead.
You're just gloating over the entire thing like it was not your responsibility. Then whose responsibility is it?
Well, I wasn't one of the investigating officers. It was, and at that time, the responsibility was on the State Bureau of Investigation agents who were the investigating agents.
Yes, it was. It was absolutely on the State Bureau of Investigation, and we will take the responsibility for it. We made a mistake.
What was that, Kim?
There was a mistake made at the crime scene by not finding Danny Freeman's body.
Amen.
The family up here is responding. What do you say?
We have 2 family members that we've been looking for almost 2 years. And now they say, oh, we made a mistake. They need to get out there and help us. Volunteers, a family, Jay, Lorraine, myself, and volunteers, over 500 people from the area, helped to search a 5-mile radius around that property. The police was not there to help us.
I don't know if I was in this position, Dwayne and Lorraine and Jay, I think I would be totally outraged right now. Because it's been a year and a half. A mother can tell you exactly how many days. And now there's just, we made a mistake. Kim, what is your theory based upon all this evidence and all this investigation you claim to have done?
Probably the most prominent one is that the drug lead, that he was involved in some sort of drug activity out of the house.
First of all, I'm not a cop. My heart goes out to you all. But first of all, when I'm sitting here and listening to this story, it sounds to me like somebody in the middle of the night came, killed some people, kidnapped some young ladies against their will and took them somewhere.
That's exactly what happened.
That's very
How
possible.
are you going to investigate? You walk over of somebody's body. When you walk over this ground, you can feel the ground. You mean tell me you can walk over somebody's body, you can't feel their body? Footprints on the body?
I can't explain it to you, sir. I just can't.
Can I try to explain that for him?
Kim, I want to thank you for being here. I know you're in a tough position, and you know you're in a tough position, too, because you have admitted that you made a mistake.
Right.
I hope that from this point on, you will be able to help this family come up with some answers. What do you say, young lady?
I just want to know where exactly she gets the proof that there was drugs involved. Where's the proof? We've yet to see any
evidence brought to me to that effect.
Had he ever had a history of drugs?
You asked for a theory, and I gave you a theory.
That's all
the audience isn't buying it, Kim.
Kim, where are the girls? What really happened to those girls?
We have looked for the girls. We sent out cadaver dogs. There have only been 30 leads since for almost 2 years. Only 30, that's not very
They
many.
made a mistake. They ought to know, we the family, and I'm the mother of a 16-year-old girl that is now 18 years old, who's missed her sophomore year, she's missed her junior. She's a senior this year. Ashley's a senior. They're not going to get to graduate. They don't going to get married. They're not going to do any of that. She ought to know it's been a year, 8 months, and 25 days that my daughter has not been home.
I will say this, that the story continues to develop. There's even more to this. When we come back, the question is being raised, did Danny Freeman really have a secret life that could have gotten him killed? If he did that life lead to the disappearance of those 2 young girls? We'll be right back.
Drug dealers would burn down the whole house with everybody in it. They don't abduct kids at all.
Exactly right.
Could the girls have conducted the murder?
I will go find my daughter. I will bring my daughter home. I will bring Ashley home if I have
to. Everyone does this.
Yeah, when they see you do it, they're gonna stop.
I've got my cake caught in the door.
The Subaru Forester. Dog tested, dog approved.
Let's make lots of money. You've got the brawn, I've got the brains. Let's make lots of Oh, there's a world of opportunities.
With Allstate, drivers who switched saved over $700. Saving is easy when you're in good hands. Allstate. Click or call to switch today.
Can't decide what to order at Popeyes? Don't worry, we got you. Because the new Rippin' Chicken Sampler has 2 Rippin' Chicken breasts, 8 crispy butterfly shrimp, your choice of 2 regular sides, and 2 buttery biscuits. All of this for just $10.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Have you seen a ghost?
Ghost.
Ghost?
Ghost? Ghost.
Booyah. Emphasis on the boo.
And then I just got the perfect bite. You get the dough of the bread, then you get hit with onion strings, then you get hit with chili, and then you're like, what's happening? How is all this going on? It is comfort food.
Sonic Twisted Texan Cheeseburger or a foot-long coney.
And it's comfort food.
That Starbucks coffee feeling, made ready.
That's life. That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, you're shot down in May. And if I didn't think it was worth one try, I'd jump right on a big bird, and then I'd fly.
Welcome back, everyone. I think you will agree with many people who say this is one of the strangest cases. We're still trying to figure out what happened. And there are also all of these rumors, Dwayne. Danny was your brother. Did Danny Freeman have a secret life that might have led to these 2 murders and the disappearance of these 2 girls?
No, he didn't.
Oh, come on, Dwayne, now.
He smoked casual marijuana. He grew his own marijuana.
There you go.
You know, the type of drug deal you're talking about that would cause something like this is someone that's dealing drugs. I can tell you the Craig County Sheriff's Department for a year prior to Danny's death was on him close enough if he was doing anything of the kind, he'd have been in slammer.
So you don't believe that drug theory has anything to do with it?
No, and he would not impose it on anybody.
Katie was the best friend of Ashley. Could the girls have conducted the murder?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Kathy was Ashley's real best friend. Real best friend, mother, daughter, best friend. And Ashley done everything she could to please her parents. I mean, Ashley would do good grades. She never done anything to make them mad. Anything. Ashley constantly pleased her parents.
Okay. I know there was a lady in the audience here. You were very upset when we were doing the talk. I know you're still shaking here. Come and share with me, because you were really upset about what seems to be a fumbled investigation.
Yeah, I'm really shaking because, you know, I used to be a cop in South Africa, and drug dealers would burn down the whole house with everybody in it. They don't abduct kids at all.
Exactly right.
That's unacceptable to me, absolutely. I don't believe that story for 1 second.
So what are you feeling
I'm so
in your
shaken
gut?
up because...
Tell me what you're thinking. Go on.
I'm a mother myself, okay? And I would go to any length to find my kids. I would do whatever it takes to find my kids.
I will go find my daughter. I will bring my daughter home. I will bring Ashley home if I have to. I shouldn't have to, but I probably will.
And we want to help you do that. We do. Lorraine and Jay are certainly not alone. 90% of the cases of missing people are juveniles. From what we understand from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, since January of this year alone, 13,000 girls have been reported missing. The key to this case boils down to really each of us, what each of us can do in our own community to reach out and help these grieving families. We need to find out what happened to the girls. If you have any information, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Coming up tomorrow, a missing persons case that has captivated this entire nation. Where is Chandra Levy? Is she the victim of a serial killer preying on young interns? Or did her relationship with a trusted congressman cost her her life? Could she have disappeared willingly? Or is she the victim of a cruel abduction? In the aftermath of the worst terrorist attack in American history, there are still more questions than answers. We'll meet a reporter who recently had a very revealing conversation with terrorist mastermind Osama bin Laden. What really happened? Join us. We thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you next time.
Nikki's here. She gets mad when I have chips in bed.